So I want to tell you about a social experiment that I did a couple of years ago, a few years ago. And it lasted roughly about a year. And I was actually already answering questions that I knew. I just kind of wanted to see what would happen. So what I did was I went on to dating sites, including Catholic.com. Okay. And I did my bio, and my bio was very, very specific that I was a recent widow. I wasn't looking to date. I was looking to meet people who who were like-minded, that liked to do the things that I like to do. For example, go fishing, one of my favorites, go hiking, go on bike rides, adventure, things like that, and I actually put this in my bio. I'm not interested in going to dinner, meeting for drinks, or even to meet for coffee. That's not what I'm about. In fact, would list, hey, I'm going to go fishing out of my kayak this weekend, and I will meet you there. We can spend a little bit of time talking, and then we can go out and fish. Pretty short trip. I lived on the coast, and there was some really great places to launch a kayak where it was, not a long paddle or anything like that. There were people around, so it's not like you're out in the middle of nowhere. Not at all. Although I do know those places too. I would go there, but with my boat. But that's what I would post, and I would post pictures of myself, and they were actually, honestly, usually pretty messy. There's a picture of me holding up a fish, a nice big red fish. There was pictures of me not dressed provocatively at all. In fact, and some of them I'm wearing a hoodie. Yeah, I might have on shorts, but not not provocative at all. Very demure, as it were. I don't even know if I would use that word. But what was so funny, it just proved my point over and over and over that nobody reads bios, number one. Nobody reads bios. Because if they had of, the messages that I would have got would not have read how they were. In fact, I will quote one. It just popped into my head as I'm talking. And he said, I'm looking for long-term too, but damn, I want you right now. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Guess what happened? Delete. I mean, on one hand, I can appreciate the honesty, but on the other hand, was that respectful? Hail to the no. Hail to the no. Listen to what this man just told me. I'm looking for a long-term relationship, but damn, I want you right now. So what was that? Disrespect. Absolutely disrespect. Even if he thought it in his head, he could have withheld that comment out of respect, number one, for himself, number two, for me, or vice versa, But that's just kind of the point. I think what I was trying to prove at the time is if, not really trying to prove anything, just, again, it was a social experiment, and I had already kind of had a pretty good idea anyway. But what really surprised me was the Catholic situation. Catholic.com. So, was I looking for somebody at the time? Was I really wanting to start dating again? No. Oh, dating again. Lord, I've been married since I was 19 and widowed when I was 51. There's been one person in my life since I was 19. Before that, since I was 16. I dated around in high school, sure. But I got married 19 and one man in my life, and that was it. So I can't say dating again. Was I looking for a relationship? Absolutely not. Was I looking for companionship? Yes. And that was the word. Companionship. Friends first. But I kind of knew where that was going to go based on a lot of things that I had seen online. And so that actually proved a point that I didn't even know I was trying to make. But then I think about it, because I killed, at least I'm pretty sure I did. I went in and deleted all of my accounts. I did it off and on just to see if there was any kind of a different response. Like I would go in and I would play with my bio, change pictures, but never anything provocative. In fact, this is a little bit more provocative than anything that I wore in those videos, because a lot of them were taken in the winter and I had on a hoodie, or they were taken in the spring and I had on a hoodie and shorts. I wasn't wearing a dress. I wasn't doing anything like that. Now, I did do this one right before I kind of cleared everything up. I had just bought a Raptor. I literally just bought a Raptor. It was a complete and total impulse buy. But I had a Super Duty and I owned it. I had the title, so I wanted to trade in the Super Duty, cash it out, and buy a boat. Not my husband's project boat that was killing me. I wanted to buy a boat that I could actually use. So I decided to go ahead and cash the Super Duty in. I went to the dealership. I actually made a deal on another Super Duty, a lesser, because the Super Duty I had was like really Magdaddy. So still a Super Duty, but just not as much bells and whistles and that kind of thing. The Super Duty I had was pretty much a Tremor. So this one was basic four-wheel drive. I mean, yeah, it was decent. I had everything I needed. But somehow or another, this Raptor caught my attention. And it wasn't a new one, it was a used one, but it caught my attention. And I was like, that would just be so much fun. And that was one of the trucks my husband really wanted at one point in time. He really wanted a Raptor. And honestly, I did too. So I just made a decision last minute to buy the Raptor, not the Super Duty. And I drove the Raptor for a while. And so just kind of like right there at the end, while I was kind of wrapping up my social experiment, I did put a picture of myself with my not brand new to me Raptor, and I happened to be wearing a dress. It was hot. It was July, and I happened to be wearing a dress. I was going to meet my mother later for a late lunch, early dinner kind of thing, and we had a place we were going to go, so I was just casually dressed up, I guess you could say. So I did post that just to see what would happen. And you guessed it. You guessed it. All these guys are like, "Ooh, that girl just bought herself a Raptor. She's single. She's, tanned and in a dress." And the comments that I got on that picture, I just went, all right, we're done. Like, we are so totally done. Because I knew in those men's minds, and I'm going to say men because that's who was hitting on me, and it was because of the Raptor, they weren't interested in me. They were interested in what I could do for them. And it was just so ridiculous. Just so ridiculous. So a little bit earlier, I had done a video on dating. Is it right, wrong, otherwise, in today's society, is it really a good idea? Should you really, well, I'm getting a little bit wordy right now. I just wanted to share that. Anybody out there that's single and they're getting on these dating sites, and that's why I did the social experiment. I just really wanted to see what was actually out there and what was really actually happening. And because I was at the beginning stages of writing my books and putting this channel together and things like that. So it was a social experiment for information. But looking back at it now, freaking hilarious. Hilarious. And I can tell you right here and now, any adult male that has Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, any of those things, unless you're running a business, you don't need that crap. Why? What? I mean, we're going to kind of go into this. I know my AIs tell me not to go into a different subject, but I think this actually flows. Seriously. There's only one reason to have those apps. There's only one. If you want to try and convince a female that has self-respect and a little bit of common sense and takes care of herself, she's going to see right through that. She's going to see right through that. I would say maybe 5% of the males out there that have these types of apps are on the up and up. So you're not fooling us. Thanks for watching.